Persevere. Okay, ready? Look at this camera too.
To treat myself compassionately. Yes, girl. Share my thoughts with gratitude and kindness.
Yes, you should do that.
Persevere and overcome.
Overcome it.
Yes, overcome. Let's see. To see the best in others. And in myself. To support and inspire others.
Nicole.
To express the work hard in my heart. It's hope hard. Okay, looks like everyone is having a great time. We are actually having a great time. Okay. To participate and share our biases.
Just to let y'all know, y'all are on over here too.
Oh, hi! Wait, let me do my dance moves, okay?
Yeah, y'all dance.
Wait, I learned sign language. This is my friend's Pella. But credits to Violet Salvia. Salvia. However you pronounce it. Okay, so fresh. Wait, no, wait. Fresh sunlight. Uniform.
We're doing
leaves. But leaves. How do
You're
I look?
doing a great job. I loved what I did.
What the freak? What is that? Oh, by the way, this is WHSL. We are Word by Sign Large, and we share this with people, okay? Share this with people. This is a meeting, and we're going live in a little bit. Well, we are live, but this is like a podcast thing. And so you could go to WordPress My Large on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere really. So share with people so that you can get other people to the WHL. Wait, this is YouTube? The WHL.
Wait, where is this
And
live
the
streaming?
WHSL.
Where is this live streaming from?
Melina, record the screen.
What did you say? There's only one person on. There's only one person on. I'm so sorry.
Good job. Do you want an outfit of the day? Okay.
OOTD. Wait, now we're going to be going to the segment OOTD. Luell K. Christopherson.
Go,
Luell K. Christopherson.
Your outfit.
Luell, we're going to need you. Okay, I'm going to do my OOTD. I'm Melina Zahidi. Melina Zahidi, period. So, I got this from Target. It's so cute.
Ow!
I got these. Okay, I got these shoes
anyway.
from Nike.
So
Cute.
Melina, record me. My turn.
Okay, first we go. Luell.
So this is
Okay,
WHSL.
and then you can go. She's doing her own.
Hey guys.
So this is the OOTD outfit of the day. Hi.
She loves Lululemon.
I do. Nike agora.
Oh, hi, Evan.
Turkey.
Yeah.
So check what I want.
My bride's from Lululemon. This is WHS Kendra Scott. My mom, well, mine now.
Pandora. I don't know. And a little boutique that I found. It's in Galleria. It's so good. You should get something. Love it. Oh, no one's there. Wait.
No one is there. Wait.
No, like no one was in the camera when I looked.
They said, hi, it's Evan. Hi, Evan.
Hi, Evan.
My family's friend. Oh, they know AKA Munya. Hi, Evan. Munya.
Adorable. I can't go nowhere.
Hi, so this is WHSL.
Rachel. Get up with me. I'm gonna squeeze by. Excuse me.
welcome. Oh my goodness, this is the start of such an amazing night. An amazing person here, Nicole Christopherson, in charge of Work Hard and Smile Large. I absolutely love it.
All right, should we get all the youth ambassadors over so we can tell them our big reveal tonight? I have a microphone now. I would have everyone.
Yes.
One of the big announcements.
Hey guys.
Can all the kiddos hear me? So we have a new page on the Work Hard, Smile Large website dedicated to our youth ambassadors. So if you have not gone to our website, please go, and I leave all our kiddos to click on the ambassadors link. We have created a page that we want you to know we're always thinking about you. We want you to be every day. And so we created a Work Hard, Smile Large promise. And we have a certificate for each one of you that are here today to take home with you. Certifies you're a youth ambassador with Work Hard, Smile Large. And I'm going to read you the promise right now, okay? All right, everybody ready? Yeah. I promise to work hard and smile large, to live courageously, to treat myself compassionately, to fill my thoughts with gratitude and kindness, to persevere and overcome, to see the best in others and myself, to support and inspire others, to express the work hard, smile large mantra each day, because that's what I do. That's why we brought Work Hard, Smile Large to life for all of y'all. And to participate and share our Work Hard, Smile Large events with your friends in your community. You're always welcome here. And we believe that working hard and smiling large is going to get you through. So work hard.
Smile large.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for all being here. We're countdown. We got 16 minutes left for the first episode.
Woo! Excited.
Yes.
Can't even wait myself. Goodness. How y'all doing? You're doing good. You actually made it pretty safe. You're dry. You have a little. I'm not from Australia. From New Zealand. Now, who can put their hand up and tell me, right, what's the capital of New Zealand? Do we know? There is a capital.
Tiffany. Tiffany knows.
All right, what do you think? It's what? Auckland? No. But that's the largest city in New Zealand. What do you think? Wellington! Yes, and that's where I'm from. Good job. Windy Wellington. It is like one of the windiest countries or cities in the southern hemisphere. So I'm talking some serious wind. So I'm kind of glad to be here in Austin, even though sometimes it can be windy here at times. I feel like I brought it here with me. All right, y'all, I'm going to sing a couple of tunes. So mingle, enjoy, and just congratulations, Nicole. What a fantastic effort. I'm just so privileged to be a part of the very beginning of something that's going to just grow and become a household name.
Thank you.
Love it. All right. Let me see. I'm going to start with a song that I wrote a few years ago called Enough is Beautiful. Red heart, innocence, when there's love, there's always sins. Stars falling, worlds collide, baby speaks for the first time live. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. Love is beautiful. Faith is beautiful. You are beautiful. Love is beautiful. Faith is beautiful. Saying you just get chatting away. Here we go. When you love someone, seems to lose who you are. Glance at yourself once in a while from afar. You said you'd be mine for all the days I'm living. I thought it was lost, but the changes coming over me. Just revives the loss of faith. Changes coming over me. Just wasn't meant to be. Everything wasn't for you. I was too young just to love with you. Blow out the candle when push comes to shove. It's a sad affair when nobody cares. Doesn't sound like no, but the changes coming over me. Time divides with the loss of it. Yeah, changes coming over me. Just wasn't meant to be. Every reason for you. I'm ready for me. I'm ready to be free from everything. If it wasn't for you, I would not have lived. I'm ready to be free from everything. Now when it's alone, I find you decided I'm where I belong. Oh, now when it's alone, I find you decided I'm where I belong. But if it wasn't for you, for me, I would be free from everything. If it wasn't for you, I'm not a family. I would be free from everything. If it wasn't for Thank you.
10 minutes.
And in case you're wondering, it's 7 more minutes, right? 7 more minutes till we see you. Yeah, just kidding. Smile just for a little while. And I love the way you kiss me. Oh, we make chemistry. To our worlds now we're here, and I find it. You and I lost. Don't do the same.
But for you guys to see it on Instagram Live, you're going to have to go to the link and go straight to YouTube because we're premiering the video episode of episode 1 for our Work Hard Smile Large podcast, and it is the premiere. Following our video release, and episode 1 is going to be on YouTube. You'll be able to find it on Amazon Music, Spotify, any couple other ones too, but we'll make sure to post it here on Instagram. So stay tuned. 2 more minutes. Go to the link and go straight to our YouTube channel. Work hard, smile large to watch episode 1 premiere with us. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're just rolling out positivity. We have so many of our youth ambassadors here. We've got dads, moms, neighbors, friends. It's so great to see the community coming together, and I really appreciate you all tuning in live with us. So hope you've enjoyed seeing what we've got going on here. Lots of commotion, lots of excitement, great music, and 2 minutes until episode 1 premieres. Thank you guys for joining us. Here's my team. I couldn't have done it without the team. Here's my beautiful team that's been helping me get it all together in the background. We have a couple of team members that aren't here, but they're helping us man it behind the scenes. So thank you to my Work Hard, Smile Large team for helping me make magic happen, because we are so productive every day, and all the fruits of our labor are going to be here. So just remember, everybody that's watching, part of our Work Hard, Smile Large community, work hard and smile large. It's all worth it. We're so happy you're here today. So 60 seconds until it premieres. Go to YouTube now. Work hard, smile large YouTube channel. Should I say bye?
Here it comes.
Okay. All right, thank you so much for joining us to see the live private party here that we're hosting for episode 1 to premiere. It's going to premiere with our video episode on YouTube right now, but you guys can watch it here on Facebook Live. So thank you so much for joining us. Tune into the website for more events, and I'm so happy that you guys join us, and I'm so happy we have so many of our youth ambassadors here. We've got Poppy here, we've got Jesse representing our hat. He's got one of our hats on with our swag. A couple more seconds and we're gonna go live with episode 1. Thank you for joining us.
Nicole, I really like that.
Embrace the Work Hard, Smile Large vibe.
Welcome to the Work Hard, Smile Large podcast. I have my magnificent friend, Shelly Mack, joining me today in the studio. And we have so much to share with you about how we actually met, because it's super unique. And then also talk about her life's journey and her goals and dreams. So Shelly, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh my goodness, thank you. The pleasure is going to be all mine, I'm sure.
Let's tell them a little bit about you. Where are you from?
Gosh, well, exactly. It's
What's
like, where do
going
I
on?
start? Well, if you're listening to my voice, you can tell that I'm not from here. I'm originally from New Zealand, born and raised. Gosh, from the moment that I came out of my mother's womb, I've always been a bit of an explorer. So I couldn't wait to get on a plane and travel the rest of the world. So you'll probably find a little bit more out about where I've been and the experiences that I've had.
I mean, that's the best part about having our guests fill out their form to be on the podcast with me, is that I get to learn so much more about them. What you can put into a few paragraphs that I didn't already know was just, it lit my eyes up. I'm like, I cannot wait to get on camera today.
Wow. Oh, good. Well, thank you. Like I said just earlier when we were talking before we started, is that it got me thinking about a few things. You had, just a brief about what we might cover. And these sorts of, podcasts, I love them because it always brings something out, and they're good reminders of some things that we've forgotten.
Yep. Where we came from, because it's so important. Our journey is so important. It molds us, the ups and the downs, the swervy parts, but they do mold us. I mean, I'm here in Austin now, and had my family not relocated, I would not have had the pleasure of meeting you so easily, right? Because we just our frequencies kept passing each other. We're on social media, and as everybody knows, social media kind of targets certain things. And I kept seeing this startup business hit my feed on Instagram, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love Tulum. I used to travel to the Riviera Maya all the time, and I love her bags. And so I reached out to Shelly after a few times seeing it on my feed, and I'm like, hey, I just moved here. I'm an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur. Like, I'd love to meet you for a cup of coffee. Like, literally, that's how we met.
I know. And let me tell you, you are amazing like that, how you just reach out to people, and you're such a go-getter. And I feel like that was something that I've always lived by. You know, it's like if I want to do something, I go for it. And I'm glad you made that phone call, and we instantly just hit it off. It was just so natural. And I think being, you know, both of us, I think for you, California, kind of, it reminds me of home, New Zealand. We share the same ocean, the Pacific Ocean. You know, just there were aspects of that we talked about that we miss that we don't necessarily have here in Austin.
Yeah. The sound of the waves, the sand in your feet, you know, all those things that
Simple
really
things.
ground you and,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
help you find your peace. But we find our peace in other ways here, right? I mean, you find your peace in music.
Yes, you do. Oh, absolutely. And I couldn't be in a better place if I really, that's my jam, right? And that what brought me here. That was actually exactly what brought me here back in 2010. I was on my way to New Orleans to record an album, and I happened to be passing through Austin to visit a girlfriend.
On your way to New Orleans from where, though? Because let's just like wind it back a little bit, because there's a few destinations on the map that she could.
Yeah, I know. Well, gosh. Well, really, my traveling started when I was very young. I was brought up, raised in a blue collar family, very hardworking parents. In fact, I don't know, they really taught me a lot about if I wanted something, I really had to work hard to get it. Yeah, yes. Hence, I love this. Work hard, smile large. That's been pretty much my entire life. It's like I know pretty much everything that I've ever done. It's never just come to me. It's something that I've really had to work hard, but it's usually something that's a little bit outside the box. You know what I mean? Yep. It's not just falling into something.
You've had to learn to get uncomfortable, to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Many, many times. And I started that at the young age of 16, 17, when I came home from high school one day, and I had been part of a discussion at school about doing students abroad, like traveling overseas and studying for a year. So I went home with this pamphlet and presented that to my parents and said, I really would love to do this. And straight away, my father said, absolutely not. No way. We can't afford to do that. You crazy?
It's so similar to my college story, because I was a first generation college graduate. And while I was at Arizona State University in studying for my undergraduate degree, my friends were studying abroad. And I was like, Mom, Dad, I would love to do this. Like, I want to perfect my Spanish. I think it'd be so great. I don't want to do it in Mexico. We've traveled to Mexico a lot. I want to go to Spain and learn proper Spanish.
Right.
And they're like, no. And so I worked my way through college. They didn't understand. They just wanted me to stay super focused. I worked, I got grants, in-state or out-of-state grants to pay for my tuition. I finished my credits early. I got reduced rent because of my grades, and I just kind of blazed through college. But when it was done, I looked at all the money I had saved nannying full-time for a family in Scottsdale, and I said, I'm sending myself abroad. Like, I have to check this off my list before I start my life. And graduating college, you're at that point of like stepping that next step into adulthood and a career. And at that time, I wanted to be an educator. And so, I sent myself to Spain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, very similar deal. I knew that, I had to really just break away from, I think, where my path was going to go, and that was one thing I wanted to try. It was scary as hell. I ended up going to Japan, of all places. I had friends that were going to America and Europe and all these really cool places. And I just thought, and I don't know where this came from, at such an early age, but I felt like I needed to experience something incredibly different, something maybe that I would never get the opportunity to do again. So I did not realize really, truly what I was putting myself into, like this was really a very, very different culture. Yep. I didn't really know the language, so I started from ground zero, and it took me a good, I would say, 6 to 8 months to sort of get a handle on the language. And that's when the penny dropped for me, that I needed to forget everything that I had known in New Zealand and to really sort of be accepted by my peers. And for me to really make the most of that time, I had to start acting and really truly immerse myself. And it's not easy, and it's not instantaneous. It's something that you have to really, got to give it time.
You do. And I immersed myself in the Spanish culture and I gained weight and I found that water was
So
cheaper
did
than
I.
wine and
Oh
that's
my
all I could afford. So I was like wine and tapas and I'm like, my pants don't button, but I immersed myself in the culture and I
Yeah.
made it last as long as I possibly could
Yeah.
because it was fulfilling. I look back at it and don't you feel like it just made your skin a little thicker,
God, yeah, especially at such a young age. Like it was probably one of the hardest and yet the most rewarding years of my entire life. And I worked so hard to get there that, even through some of the real tough times, I had to keep reminding myself of what I actually went through to get there. And, there's a huge lesson in that. Like, because it wasn't easy, like my dad said no. So then I tried to figure out, okay, I'm gonna prove to him that yes, I can do this. Similarly to yourself. I was 17, so I was still in high school. I had 3 jobs. My mum took raffles to her job. I sold all my worldly possessions at that particular time, my little nifty 50 that I was traveling around in. Everything, I made it happen. And so when it got tough, that was a good reminder, and it kept me on course. And so when I finally did come home, I was really proud of what I had accomplished.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it helped prepare you probably for the other journeys that you took in your life.
Look, it was just the tip of the iceberg. Like that right there was the beginning of my desire and thirst for adventure. Like, okay, if I can do that, then I really want to go out there and see what else is.
So how long were you in Japan for?
I was there just a year.
Okay.
I could have done with being there longer for sure, just because of the fact that that the language started to really fall into place. Another year would have been fantastic. But I came home, and rather than go to university, which is where all my friends were, I decided that university wasn't for me. I didn't know if it was for me forever, but I just, at that point in time, I wasn't committed to doing something when I didn't know what I wanted to study. I didn't want to waste that time. Yeah. And coming from, parents who couldn't really afford to do that, I thought, okay, I think maybe I'll just take some time to figure out what I want to do next. So I actually stepped into a job working for a tourism outfit where I was using my Japanese for tourists that were coming to New Zealand.
Oh, good. Using it is the best thing when you come
fantastic.
back. Yes.
I was this little blonde thing and welcoming all the Japanese off the big buses and then showing them. Actually, it was on a farm and sheep shearing was involved. I wasn't shearing the sheep.
Okay.
But I was describing what was going on in Japanese, which was a lot of fun. And from there, I then moved into a travel job because that was my thing. I wanted to travel. So that kind of seemed the logical step to take. So I got into travel and then had the opportunity to move to Scotland. My Celtic roots were calling and I went and lived there in Glasgow, was there for a couple of years. And during that time, I got to then visit a lot of countries in Europe and in the United Kingdom. So that was an amazing time. I did not want to come home from that.
And then you returned back after 2 years.
I did. I returned back to New Zealand. And that's the thing. I come home. I miss home. I love to be, it's not like I wanted to leave my family, but I just had this thirst for experiencing all these cultures and people. And part of my growing up was I wanted to figure out myself. I had to go lose myself to find myself. Which is, if that makes sense.
Truly most valuable lesson.
Exactly. And get out of my comfort zone many times. I mean, that was just another time in my life where, it was uncomfortable, but really I had so much fun.
And then you make so many friendships and you meet so many people from around the world. When you talk about going to different cultures, I think that for me helped prepare me for business because I did not go to college and study business and I wasn't brought up being taught entrepreneurship. And I feel like getting comfortable, like meeting people from all over the world and hearing about their history and their culture and them sharing their traditions with you just made me so much more open and more confident in who we are and like what I brought to the table and what my culture had to offer and what my traditions were and stuff like that. And I think those travel friendships and relationships really helped with me with business and business relationships. And
oh, absolutely. And I still am friends with a lot of those people today. And that's like 30 plus years ago.
Oh my gosh. And I laugh because I'm not. I mean, I am. Some of us are still connected, but I go, oh my gosh, when I graduated college, we weren't even emailing our friends and there was no social media. And I'm not that old. I'm really not. But like that would have been so much more magnificent to stay in touch with people with social media or, email, and that I don't have those contacts for those people. Some of them I do. But
Yeah,
not
well,
as
we
many
did-
as I would like.
We did not have, like, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't even have an email address when I was living in Japan. So it was a phone call maybe 2 or 3 times
Like a
during
calling
the whole
card
time.
to a
But it
phone,
was
yeah.
letter writing. My parents wrote letters. And so when I was in Scotland, same sort of thing. But then Facebook was introduced, and that was after I had left Scotland. So we kind of found each other through Facebook and pretty amazing. Technology, how that was able to bring all the, people from your past back into your life and then go visit, when you're back in their neck of the woods.
Yeah. Or when they come to, the United States, they get to come pass through and see you. It's just, reconnect.
Yep. So Scotland was an amazing experience. And then I had to travel back to New Zealand. And of course, I didn't want to just go straight home. I thought, right, where am I going to travel through on my way back? And I knew the Middle East was one of those places. Another place that I thought, I might not get back to the Middle East, and East Africa. So oh my gosh, I can't even begin to tell you how amazing that trip was. Like probably scary as hell.
Like passing through on your way back trip, or like spent a significant amount of time?
Spent 3 months just going through some of the most important parts of like Israel, Jordan, then finally got to Cairo and just seeing all that history, and heading out into the Mount Sinai, climbing Mount Sinai to where apparently the first Bible still exists today, at 3:00 in the morning, watching the sunrise and doing some of those things that, once you start your family and stuff, you're never really going to get back there to do. I was traveling through those parts, those very remote parts, where it was a scary time too. There was a lot of unrest. East Africa, I was on the border of Zaire and Uganda, and we traveled past these places where there'd been camps, like refugee camps and what have you, where people and children, oh my God, it was just horrible to see. But again, part of my journey and my learning was just how the other world lives. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that really changed me a lot, thinking about how the Western world lives, and just we get on that rat race and trying to succeed and all this, that the materialistic things.
Well, and the gratitude for our comfort and our safety.
Exactly.
Nowhere is perfect. Everybody tries, but I think being grateful for safety and
Yes. Take it all for granted, right? Mm-hmm. So when I got back from that trip and finally got home for Christmas, my parents didn't know I was on my way home. Again, we didn't communicate via technology. it was a letter or postcard.
When you're on the road kind of moving like that, you're not writing letters because they can't return them.
Yeah. My mom, I put Mum through hell, I think. Oh my gosh, if my son does that to me, I'm never going to forgive him, but I am going to encourage it at the same time.
You'll be right along his side.
Yeah. Just make sure you keep me. We're lucky because we have the technology. I know that he'll always be able to reach out to me no matter where he is or what's going on. But I do, my mum, poor thing, devastated her when I wanted to leave home at the tender age of 17, and it just never really stopped from there. Poor thing.
So you made your way back, and travel was a big part of your life. But then when did music really start infiltrating?
Well, music didn't really hit straight away. In fact, so the whole going back to school. So I didn't know what I wanted to do if I wanted to go back to school. And I think my traveling and stuff, I felt like maybe I needed to go back to school for a little bit. So I put myself through university at the age of 25. So now I'm an adult student. I'm considered an adult student. And I did that for 3.5 years. I did a Bachelor of Arts degree and majored in political science and Japanese language. So I took that even further, thinking, you know what, I might actually now get into the world of exporting. So I fell into a job with the New Zealand exporting agency and started to have some great success with that.
I am amazed because we're sitting here talking about Tulum to you in the last couple of weeks, which we'll get her to introduce Tulum to you pretty soon here. And you're like, yeah, now I'm exporting to New Zealand. And I'm going like, wow, how did she learn all that stuff? But you were doing that at a young age, and you're reintroducing that to yourself now with your brand Tulum to you.
It's kind of gone full circle. It's interesting because I wasn't the person exporting. I was helping others, New Zealanders, to figure out how to export One of the countries, Japan, of course, which was great because I was that person that was, communicating with some of these trade development officers that were, based out of Japan. So I was doing a great job. I loved what I did, and I was very successful at what I was doing, but something was missing. Something really, really significant was missing, and I really couldn't put my finger on it to begin with. And it wasn't until I actually took another little trip to visit my brother, who had moved actually to New Orleans, and his life was there now with his family. And I hadn't seen my brother in a long time.
And that's not a little trip. Going from New Zealand to New Orleans is not a little trip.
It's not a little trip. To me, that was.
That's a big trip.
That was not a little. Yeah, exactly. It is a big trip. Yeah, the flight time and everything. But I went and visited my brother, and he took me to see this amazing jazz and all this gorgeous live music that you see out of New Orleans. And it was like I got hit by lightning. It was just, I had this epiphany of, oh my gosh, I'm really missing music in my life. Now, let's just rewind, actually, go back to before I was bit by the travel bug and everything. I actually was into music from a very young age. I sang in choirs, I did musicals, I did all of that. And I had a voice, and I was told I had talent and I should maybe, pursue that. But I really didn't have the belief in myself at that time. So I reached a sort of stage in my life where I developed stage fright and thought maybe this isn't my thing. So, I then pivoted and did the whole traveling and did that. But lo and behold, it definitely was something that was inside me all this time.
And New Orleans would bring that out of somebody.
It totally did. To the point that it really disturbed me. I came home from that trip and I suddenly looked at my life at that particular time and what I was doing and, making great money, had just built a beautiful home. I had all the material things, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I couldn't, when you just can't figure out what is it that's actually missing. And there started this, I embarked on a journey of getting myself, first of all, a life coach. And she helped me to really kind of peel back the layers. And really one of the very first questions she asked me was, so if you could turn back the clock and do something that you always wanted to do, what would that be? And I laughed. I said, well, and now I'm like 29. Be in a band, sing in a band. Would have loved to have done something like that when I was younger, but I've missed the boat. She said, no, you haven't. If you could really focus on something for the next little while, why don't we explore that? Let's look at what it would take for you to maybe get out there and sing. So what would that look like? And so from there, we just started setting these goals. And I think I started with her in January of that year. And she made me pick a date in the future of that year. She said, let's pick a date.
You set your vision.
Yep. I set my vision I said, okay, so I'm going to audition for a band. October 1st is my birthday. Let's just pick that date. Let's do that. I'm going to turn 29. Let's do that. So from there, we then worked on the steps it would take to get to that moment. So the first thing I then had to do was engage a vocal coach. And so I worked with her, and I kid you not, on the 1st of October, the very day, just so happened to be an audition for a band, the Vipers, they were called. And I auditioned and I got the gig. And the next moment, I'm basically thrusting myself out onto a different stage.
Yeah, and we'll talk about dates because I have a friend, Tiffany. She'll come on a future episode, and she makes me set dates. And she's been a very successful entrepreneur, and she's had fabulous businesses. And she talks to my husband and I when we're hanging out in social settings and stuff. And she made my husband pick a date. I'm not allowed to tell anybody what that date is, but the power of picking a date and setting your vision on that date and that goal and putting that date somewhere visible is super powerful.
Oh my gosh. Time and time again, for me, it's kind of all or nothing. I got to have something to work towards. I really need that to anchor me and go, right, I'm committed. Right, this is it. There's no room for fail if I know that I've given myself that time to, because preparation too. I'm a stickler for preparation. I gotta allow myself the time to know that I can own it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't like giving myself just enough time to of course, setting yourself goals that are scary, that's one thing. But I also always want to make sure that I give myself the time to be really, truly prepared.
The steps that'll get you there.
Yeah. And
the training.
Not vocal coach, the life coach taught me a lot. I can't say enough about life coaches. They are truly just amazing to help you, get through some of the roadblocks and banging that wall down, just chipping it away at it in a way that you feel like, okay, this is manageable, especially when you're working full time. And if you've maybe got a family.
So when you were training, or when you were, I guess, conditioning yourself for your October 1st date and goal, were you still working your other job?
Yeah.
Like, were you doing, so you were doing both as you led up to that.
Oh, yeah, I was. And then once the music started to take off, I was very blessed. I was working with some of the best musicians in the country.
I was reading what you put on your guest form, and I'm like, Elton John, and you had some big names.
Yeah, well, that though, that took from putting myself out there, then started to write original music, recording an album, releasing it to radio, and then, we had this album launch, and we invited all the big decision makers in the industry to come to that.
Stuff,
all of that. And one guy that happened to be at that particular launch was the promoter for Elton John. And he absolutely loved what he heard. He thought the songs were just so original, and he really was excited and approached me and my band and said, would you like to open for Elton John? You'll be the only act that will be opening for him on his one date in Wellington in this big stadium, which held 40,000 people. So that was the launch of my music career. Well and truly was that, and didn't look back.
No.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
I have some pretty important questions I like our guests to talk about, but I want you to kind of take what music has done for you in your life, because music's brought you a lot of different places, but it's helped you meet certain people in your life too.
It has. It's so fun. It's ironic, actually, because what we're about to talk about is how I met my husband. And funnily enough, when I got into the music industry, I always swore I would never, ever date or marry somebody within the same industry. I felt like it needed to be a separate industry. And I don't know, it's funny. I had been asked out many times, I don't know if I can say this, the children are going to be listening to this. I don't know, but the rule of thumb was you never screw the crew. So it was just a no-go zone for me. But anyway, I happened to be, after I had opened for Elton, and very soon after I got the opportunity to open for Eric Clapton. And, it was amazing, the trajectory of where the band was going. But I have this thing where I get bored. I just felt like I needed to.
Never.
It's really bad. And I, after 6 or 7 years, which is a long time, that was a good chunk of time. I had put my heart and soul, sacrificed so much, put everything. I was married to this, right? And then I felt like I wanted to go further afield than just New Zealand. And so I kind of broke my band's heart by saying, look, let's just take a break. I don't know if this is forever, but I really want to go and explore and see what else is out there for me. So then I had connected with Hall & Oates, band leader at the time and lead guitarist Shane Theriault, who was based out in New Orleans. And I reached out to him, wanted to record a very different album. This was something very different to what I had done in New Zealand. And so, but on my way to New Orleans, I was passing through Austin, good old Austin, Texas. I had a girlfriend who had been telling me for a long time that it's the music capital of the world. You've got to come to Austin. I want to show you what it's all about. So the very first night I arrived, and she took me out to see to a show, which happened to be my future husband's show, Rod Williams. That evening, my girlfriend, who can be unbelievably embarrassing at times, went up to Rod's manager and said, you've got an amazing Kiwi superstar in the house and you need to get her up on stage tonight. You need to get her up. And he's like, who the hell are you? And coming up to me and asking those sorts of questions, to making those demands and that. And I'm like, oh my God, Barbara, don't do that. Anyway, long story short, during his break, he was told that there was this girl from New Zealand who had opened for Elton and Eric and original performer, and would it be okay if I got up and just sang to his audience? And he's like, oh, it's pretty bolshy, pretty confident. Let's see what she's got. So he took his guitar off and handed it to me.
Which is true Rod personality.
Oh, absolutely. Wanted to test me. Like, let's see what this girl's got. And his strap was still fully in the length that was comfortable for him. He knew it would be a little too low for me because I'm a lot shorter than him. And he's like, oh, and it's also tuned in E flat. Which, if you're not a musician, what that is that for some people, like my husband, had written songs in certain keys, and sometimes you need to tune an instrument maybe half a step lower, just because you might be dealing with something where your voice can't handle some of the higher end, your high end register. So anyway, it was tuned in E flat, and he's thinking this is going to be interesting, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can sing in any key, and I'm fine with that. And he said, my band plays by ear, so they'll just play along with you, just, knock yourself out. So there I am, look like Joan Jett with the way that the guitar is sitting on me. And I just turned to the guys and I said, all right, well, this is one of my originals. Just, feel free to fall in, see what you can do. So I played about 2 or 3 songs of my own songs. And then I thought, right, I'm going to play a song that they all know. It was a Crowded House song, actually. I thought these guys will definitely know this. So we rocked that out. I was looking for him in the crowd because, this is his show, and I was already kind of embarrassed by the whole way that I ended up on his stage. So then I called out for him. I said, hey, Rod, if you're, anywhere near the stage, come back up. So then he eventually made his way up to the stage, and I handed him his guitar, and I said, thank you so much for being so gracious and allowing me to get up and sing to your audience. And he said, where are you going? He said, you stay right there. He said, you know how to play tambourine. He said, why don't you stay up for a couple of songs and, just play some backing vocals, sing some backing vocals. So I did. He played one of his own original songs that I'd never heard of. And I started singing. I, picked up on it pretty quick. And was up there for a couple of songs. And then eventually I thought, I better get back down to my girlfriend. I don't want to leave her on her own. And that's how we met. So left quite the impression. And the chemistry was instantaneous. It literally was, immediate.
So did you make it to New Orleans?
You know what? I had no choice. I had to make it to New Orleans. A few days later, I had to go to New York first and then New Orleans. So everything was already in place and there was no way I could miss my meetings. But while I was in New Orleans for that 5 weeks that I was recording, I was talking on the phone. It was like old school dating. We talked on the phone every day and we got to know each other. It was a really beautiful way of really just figuring some stuff out over the telephone. It was lovely.
Beautiful. And now it's how many years later? We're
13 years later.
13 years later.
Yeah.
And a son.
Oh, and a 9-year-old. Yes, so blessed. And, my life's motto has always been that it's never too late, really just, and I've seen this in my life many times where I've sort of thought maybe it's too late, but, I was told I was going to head into early menopause at the age of 41. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to accept maybe that is just the way it is. And then lo and behold, a $70 bar tab changed that. And
I've never heard of that before. That is
no,
awesome.
I'm just kidding.
Because bar tabs were $70.
Yeah, back then, right?
9 years ago, 10 years ago. Not anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But we fell pregnant, and we were both really surprised. It took us by surprise, and it was just the most beautiful gift, and the best production yet for the pair of us that have produced many songs together and individually, but our greatest production yet.
It's never too late. I love that motto.
It's
and that's
never
one of the
too late.
things that I want to just have all of our guests share, because everybody has something that you believe in or that you say to yourselves or that you've experienced that carries with you on a daily basis, like a mantra or anything like that. So
oh my gosh,
never
yeah.
too late.
I mean, I have been really faced with that. I think about when I went back to school as some people would go, oh, I'm too old for that, but no, I did it with the music industry, let me tell you, I was faced with a lot of you're too old.
Mm-hmm.
You're especially for the music industry. I mean, you kidding me? You're now launching at 30, 31. Nah, that's like when people are starting to, I think, are actually heading into their prime. In fact, still a long way, a lot of storytelling to be told.
Well, I think life, like you really don't grow into yourself. And I say like for women, it's, for females, it's about 25. Once you really know what your trajectory is going to be and what path you want to take, because you've experienced everything up to 25. Yeah. And I honestly, like in my opinion and my experience, I have a ton of male friends and I don't think men really know that until they're almost 35. Right. I think that's when they truly settle into their comfortable skin and, you know what I mean, are able to skip or run or jog along their life's path too. Yeah. It's just how life is. It's how we mature. Yeah. What experiences we let in, what experiences we take advantage of.
Exactly. And I think also just the nature of where I had been and the things that I chose was just a little bit off the beaten track that I never even thought about when family was going to even come into the picture, if at all. Like when I did fall pregnant, I know my mum was completely shocked and said, I didn't honestly think that you would ever become a mum. And now I can't imagine my life without my son. I mean, oh my gosh, everything has changed so much so. I mean, just profoundly changed. And I'm so
and you share all
grateful.
Of him. You share your music with him. He's with you on your Friday night gigs. And,
yes. I wanted to instill, how hard it is too. Like the music industry is really, really tough. It's not for the faint-hearted at all. It can. In front of people, oh yeah, and he's such a natural. Like he's got a voice for sure, and we have nurtured that. But really, at the end of the day, he's just got his dad's personality. Thank you, Jesus, because Rod is a bright light. Like he loves people. He's interested in people. You know what I mean? So he makes friends so quickly, and Jesse is a lot like that too. Thank goodness.
And it's good. And that's what I want Work Hard, Smile Large to be able to do for all of our youth ambassadors. I want them to be able to talk about the hard work and the things that they're doing that make them smile and that they're yearning for, wanting to learn more about. And so they can learn to collaborate with each other and build each other up and support each other. And I know Jessie was at, the woodshed with my daughters and they've all had different, experiences there and stuff like that and been coached up and,
It's been amazing to be in a community where we have, at our fingertips, such an amazing, like the Musician Woodshed has been phenomenal for us as a family too. And then also sharing that with the rest of the community. Like we are not insular with what we have here. We really want to try and make a difference.
Yeah. And the singing and the music changed my daughter's life when we first moved here. Mm-hmm. So Luelle was, going to fifth grade, and she had to leave her close little group of friends, and we were relocating as a family, and this was our life adventure. And when I saw the sign pulling out of a Target parking lot, I'm like, oh my gosh, they have a camp. Let's try that, and what that led to with her going into vocal lessons and wanting to sing, and then taking her shyness and really having to overcome that and be in front of a crowd, and then meeting you and knowing that your son was there. With his music and stuff, it really was a connector for us, that having that music and having the woodshed. And I would have never thought it was one little summer camp was going to lead to my daughter overcoming a lot of stuff and finding herself and building her confidence. And
music is so powerful like that. Like I'm mentoring a girl right now who has the most amazing voice. Like she's got it. But unfortunately, she just shuts down. Like when she performs, she's not allowed to allow herself to really shine and be vulnerable and really feel what she's, singing. And I feel a lot of teenagers, when they get to a certain age, especially girls, they are constantly like looking at, am I enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I talented enough? All those things just are constantly that they're running through their minds. And this girl in particular, I know she's got the goods, and I know she wants it really, really bad. And that's the wonderful thing about, the industry that I have been in. It was not easy. I had to walk through a lot of just,
you have to put yourself in those
rejection.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it. I mean, gosh. And as a woman, and that whole kind of, you're not sexy enough, you're not young enough. It's like, that's ridiculous. I've got the music. Let the audience, let the listener decide if I've got something to offer. you know, and so it made me really, really tough. But yeah, working with these kids. Circumvent absolutely the naysayers. In fact, in some ways, I'm glad that happened because, you know, I was literally on the verge of getting a major record deal with EMI in New Zealand. And I just don't know if that had happened, I would have lost control over the creative side and maybe, you know, really my destiny of where that was going to, where I was going to end up, and meeting my husband and having my child. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm so grateful. Yeah, things happen for a reason. And that's awesome. Yeah. I have done over the years, and I love watching them. Just it doesn't just affect their music career. If they decide to pursue it, it spills into the rest of their lives, and I love seeing that. And I think it's a safe place for them to land and just be themselves.
Coach. I mean, you're like you have said, it's so great to have a life coach. I mean, having a music coach is a lot like that too, because music is so much of your life and your identity. Yep,
100%, and that fulfills me. So, and it's kind of, I guess, selfish in a way. I do that for them, but I get so much in return. So I've been so blessed in that regard.
100%. That's a lot of people who say, "Oh my gosh, you're always doing so much." I'm like, I would have it no other way. Yeah. Like it fills my cup just as much.
Yep. I know.
You learn so much from other people.
From the day we met and the things that you told me that you had done and were doing, and I'm just like, oh my God, you're such a bright light.
We both did that. We had, you know, like a little power date over coffee, and
we did. And like 2 or 3 hours later, I'm like, wow.
So much. I'm like, I have to go now. I have meetings. And we like the clock was just running, and we both have kept reaching for our goals, and we both set goals and talked about visions and these dreams that we had about our brands and what we wanted to do. And you're doing it. And I mean, I'm doing it. Like Work Hard, Smile Large podcast was something that I was wanting to do.
I know. And you talked
Work
about
Hard, Smile Large was just starting. I really hadn't even put a logo to it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're about a year now, and it's helped my daughter significantly, which was the main reason why we had to get our life's motto out into the world. And it's helped my friends. And
yes,
we did vision mapping this year, and you're on a journey. So like, let's talk about your journey this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just first of all about that event that you put together and the speakers and everything about that, because it had been a while since I'd done anything like that. And it really excited me when you told me about it and what was going to happen. And I thought, okay, this is going to be really good for me, because I really do need to start evaluating where I'm at in my life and, you know, thinking about setting.
And I'm going to be super authentic right now about it, because we're moms, we have husbands, we have amazing partners. Like our partners are our best friends, and we give so much to our children. We give so much to our music and our husbands and do stuff. And sometimes you're like, I need to find my thing again, whether it's exercising, have a fitness routine, or a hobby or anything. Like you kind of have to reground yourself on what you're working towards, because you're constantly wanting to work towards and help others, like your family, you know, reach their goals too. So I think it was one of those points where you're like, I launched Tulum to you, I'm doing all this stuff, but like we were.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, the thing that I that struck me with doing that is like last year was really one of the hardest years of my life, to be fair. And I was struggling. I had kind of hit I guess a point in my life. My father passed away suddenly, and that just shook my entire world, like really made me stop. And my desire and passion for what I was in the middle of doing with my business, Tulum to You, like I was just firing all cylinders, and I was throwing everything at it, to the point though that the work-life balance was a little out of kilter. Like I was just work. And then that just completely derailed really what I was, you know, why am I doing this? Like looking back on my life and what I had accomplished and where I was at and where I wanted to be. And I think when the whole vision boarding
on January 31st.
It was January 31st. That's right. And I listened to the speakers about risk taking, like I'd forgotten a little bit about, you know, putting myself back out there again and doing the scary stuff. Just also, oh my gosh, there was one particular woman who shared her story of losing her son last year in September. And that just, oh my God, I was just tearing up the entire time when she spoke. I couldn't believe she could even get through
And what they're
talking about
doing
that.
for other children in
what
the community, like the power of purpose.
This beautiful,
this
her
family,
beautiful
yeah.
son, and continuing on his legacy. And I guess through being able to do that, that helped her to cope and heal and, just get out of bed every day. And that struck me then. My sadness that I was going, my real grief that I was going through with my father, and then experiencing this woman and what she had lost. I thought, okay, Shelley, I need to get a grip. I know I can get through this, and I know there's just some changes I need to make and reevaluate, what those are. And so I made a commitment to myself, and some of the goals, some of those things with the vision was that I needed to get back in touch with my spiritual self. And so luckily enough, a yoga studio opened literally 5 minutes from where, I just love how the universe works, opened literally 5 minutes from where I live. I can walk there. And so I decided that I wanted to do a daily yoga practice where I could get in touch with my spiritual side, get grounded, and be still and switch off. And that 1 hour of power, I call it my hour of power, where it's just been internalizing and just being present. And oh my God, I won't let anything encroach on that time. It's like setting up a meeting, that you got to have in order for your business to work, or it's that appointment for your car to get fixed so that it continues to run. I find that is actually the one thing that is I have to do it. It's because it's mental as well as it is physical and emotional. So that was one commitment. The other thing that I really decided, which was huge, was I decided I didn't want to drink alcohol. I wanted to cut alcohol completely out of my life, and I felt like it kind of just didn't serve me, like I wanted to see what it felt like to not drink and see what energy came from that. And I can tell you right now, I'm nearly 3 months into it, and I feel amazing. I feel like it's made a huge difference in my energy and my focus. Being heavily in menopause, 51-year-old, we have to take better care of ourselves. I'm not that 20-something-year-old that can just go out there and do all the socializing and commit to all
It's like
those
tweaking
things.
your diet, tweaking your workout, tweaking your supplements, sometimes just taking things away.
Yes. And I felt that was something that would be an interesting exercise, and I can already say that I have absolutely no desire really to go back to introducing alcohol again. I may do it down the road, but for right now, it's working really well for me. So I highly recommend it if it's something different, if it actually feels
big.
like it's...
Big goals, definitely to self-care every day.
Yeah. So a lot of that, number one, it had to, because if I'm not really taking care of myself, I'm just no use to anybody.
You can't serve the people you love. Like, we're servant leaders, servant lovers, you know what I mean? Like, you just have to recharge.
Exactly. So now that I'm a little further down the track with that, I feel like I've got my
what's next for your dream? What's next for your goals this year? Because I know you have them on your map.
Absolutely.
And that's the hardest part about leading my vision mapping event that I did this year, because I've done it for so many years with my team and my family and friends, and making it a big nationwide virtual, actually throughout the country. We had three countries. People tuned in from 3 different countries that day live.
I know. It was amazing.
But yeah, I don't get to see everybody's vision map. And I always put out there, like, send me a picture or share something. And
right.
I just love seeing it because they're all so unique and so special. And like, you're in the office right now today, and I have all my previous year's vision maps in my office, and I check back on them and just look at them because they're a part of my history.
Yes. I'm going to do it every year. I'm going to absolutely commit to working through, okay, so what, tick off what I did, although
And you can add to it.
Oh, and you can add to it. I love also the visual aspect of it, where you have the pictures. Like, I've got the pictures of where I'm, getting my zen back again, in order to, if I get that, then it's quality time with my family, 100% doing that, which I needed to make some changes there because I was just so heavily focused on work.
Distracting yourself with work.
Yeah. And honestly, it's a mindset. It's a real, you just got to shift like there's only so many hours in the day and the week, right? And not all of them have to be committed to paying the bills and feeling like, I've got to grow this way with the business. I feel like, look, Shelley, I got to slow down. And that's another thing, slowing down and breathing. Yep. It's because I came out of my mother's womb in a hurry. Mum said from the moment you appeared, you've always, always been in a hurry. You couldn't wait to obviously get on that plane and explore. And just with everything, it's always has to be done yesterday. It's like if I don't get it done, if it's not been taken off my list on the day, I feel like I failed. It's kind of to the point of.
And you accomplish more by sitting and breathing and taking yourself in. Because there's so much more to give.
Reprioritizing.
Yeah. So are you time blocking Tulum to you and like your focus on your business? Is it time blocked now daily? Just like some entrepreneurial tips?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you do feel like you're being pulled in so many different directions, and how effective are you really being in all of those different areas in your life? And I just felt like, okay, if I really want to feel like I'm being successful and I'm enjoying it, you got to bring the fun back into it. And that's one thing that you are huge about, is it's got to be fun. And if you remove that, it just becomes work. It's hard slog. And then you start to resent that you're missing out on this. And then it's just, so it really is, you got to prioritize how much time do I need to take care of the vessel and the mind and the body. Then it's, okay, now I feel good enough. I've got the energy to focus on the work. How much work is, necessary in one given day to then allow myself to be completely present with what's really the most important thing of all. I'm doing all of this really from my family.
You're raising one of our future children. Like,
absolutely.
That's going to be a part of this world. So
and, he's 9, he'll be 19 going to college before I know it. And I don't want to be one of those mums that looks back and goes,
And I just readjusted too. It's like I had to readjust recently because through our transition and Matt and I being entrepreneurs and both being so driven and calling this our adventure and making the kids a part of everything we were doing, I was making them a part of everything I was doing too often. So we reset what we're doing as well. Like when I come home, I'm not working with them anymore. Or if I do, I step out and Matt's there, and we're not juggling it as much as we were, because even though it was okay and it worked for us, it wasn't truly working. If I sat back and looked at my day, it wasn't working because I wasn't present while they were there sitting, cooking next to me, or the 45 minutes sitting at the dinner table, because we set the dinner table every night and sit and eat dinner together when I'm cooking at home. That wasn't enough time.
Yeah.
Like they still wanted more conversation from me and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And
I read those signals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jesse's like that 100%. In fact, he now knows. He's like, Mum, get off the phone, or can you step away? Like he knows, he removes me from whatever I'm doing. He's like, let's move into the next room, or let's go outside, or he's pretty smart. Like he's so intuitive, and he really, I guess he's learned a lot by seeing what doesn't work and now what's working, and he loves what's happening now.
You're working through it and getting stronger together. Yeah. Because I know you're sharing your vision map with him, and I know you're sharing your goals with him. And that was really the whole purpose this year of kind of doing it more publicly. I want Work Hard, Smile Large, and what I've done to help me get to where I'm at in my life be shared with other people, because I've been vision mapping and it's helped me, and anyone that's participated in it with me, it's helped them. I don't even think I've gotten your letter. You're supposed to write a letter to yourself.
Do you know what? I never sent it. No,
you need to give it to me. Okay. I'm going to get it from you. It's another reason for us to get together.
Yes. Oh, hey, I always need a reason.
No. But I wanted to do a youth vision mapping event. And so you'll see on our YouTube channel, we have the full youth vision mapping this year, but I want them to be able to do that for themselves. Like I'm doing my daughters a disservice by showing them what my goals are and everything that I'm reaching for and what I'm working on, because they too need to be working on themselves.
Absolutely. And it's never too early. Yeah.
Never too early.
I agree. And in fact, I really will make sure that Jesse's going to be a part of the next one that you do with the kids, because I know he will relish in that environment and learning, but also maybe
I think he would even benefit from watching it on our Work Hard, Smile Large YouTube channel, because we had youth come and speak to, our kids, and it was powerful seeing others get up and speak in front of, they had the same anxiety and fears, and, stories to tell, where they're like, well, what else? Public speaking is hard.
Oh, it is.
Let alone public speaking to a bunch of kids and adults.
But you're amazing at it. I'm not great at it.
I can't wait for next year to have, some more youth ambassadors lead our vision mapping and be key speakers and talk to our even larger community, because we're adding youth ambassadors every single day, and we're going to.
Oh man, I think it's great that you're setting up this platform for these kids to really go and shine and maybe work on
Be influenced by the right things, right? Like, we're not perfect. We're authentic humans. Like, we are doing the best we can do, but they need to learn from us. We don't need to wait until they're adults to learn how to do these things and how to set a goal or to collaborate with one another or to get their friends together to talk about something and network about it. It's not gossip. There's a way to do those things productively and, a positive message too.
I think with Jesse, the one thing that I hope I'm able to impart is for how he can survive without me. I want him to learn just the basic life skills. I know school does what the education takes care of one aspect of what's important, but certainly at home, I don't want to do it all for him.
Not a lot of school is applicable to real life. So you've got to give the real life component for sure.
Exactly. We're lacking. And
we'll get to that. There's going to be some pretty powerful guest speakers that come on in the future that are going to be talking a lot about our education system and what they're doing.
Right.
So there's just amazing.
So much change going on. I think COVID in particular, for all the horrible things that came out of that, there was some absolute necessary things that needed to shake up, the education system. Yep, for sure. Yeah. So I'm glad that happened. But going back to the kids and setting those goals and visions and what have you, Jesse, I definitely, I'm excited to see what comes out of that when he does that maybe next year or even
they
like you say,
they really reach in and think about themselves and where they want to be or who they are. And that's kind of really powerful. What do you want your legacy to be? I mean, you've already done so much, but what do you want your legacy to be?
I really thought about that because you did warn me. You said, this is going to be something that I might
I know,
ask
I don't
you.
like catching people off guard.
Well, because it's such a big question.
And it's different for every single person. So
it's huge.
I want everyone
And it
to
took
hear.
me a couple of days to really think about it and really honestly know how to answer that. I think by just leading by example. So everything I have done in my past and what I'm doing today and what I hopefully continue to do in the future is that I hope my child, Jesse in particular, because really it is about my legacy for him, is that he will embrace and love me. Mum was, she had a thirst for adventure and experiences. And that's hopefully something that spills into what he is, has that desire for wanting to go out there and seek and even when it's really scary and give everything a really good shot, I honestly just always didn't allow things to stop me from trying something really scary. And I hope that my legacy of the things that I have accomplished in my life in music and all that sort of thing is something that really carries on into, Jesse's world when he's old enough and starts to think about what did Mum do in this situation. And speaking of music, well, the most powerful gift that I could leave behind, well after I'm gone, my storytelling through my songs that I have written about, my beautiful love song for his dad is there. We'll always have that to listen to.
What's the title of this song?
Two Worlds Collided, which, was the very first love song I'd ever written for anyone. I wrote another song, just trying to think, Life is Beautiful, through, some of the worst things that can happen in life. Sometimes we just have to remember just the little things that make our life beautiful. I'm glad that my son will have that when I'm long gone, that he can listen and feel like I'm still in the room. That's the powerful thing about music is that, I listen to Elvis Presley, for example, or Olivia Newton-John, who passed away last year, who was a huge influence for me. But every time I hear her voice, it's like she's right there with me. And I love that. That's amazing.
You'll be inspiring him.
Yeah, exactly.
eternity.
Well, after I'm gone. And maybe
reminding him it's never too late.
And that. The other thing I think which I think is really huge for this whole legacy question, is that during COVID, Jesse's American passport expired, like a lot of people's passports expired. And we were one of those families that traveled through COVID. We went to Mexico when no one really was traveling. Unfortunately, his American passport had expired. So I said to my husband, oh my gosh, I have been meaning to get Jesse's New Zealand citizenship and passport sorted. And here this opportunity presented itself, and I thought, wow, I'm going to see if I can get that sorted now so he can travel on that passport. So I rang the New Zealand Immigration and Passport Office, and I said, look, I've actually got an elderly father who still lives in New Zealand, and he's not well. That was my excuse for trying to get this passport expedited and his immigration stuff. And the guy was super friendly. He said, look, love, he said, just send me an email, send the, fill in the application form and just email it to me. Like, you would never, ever be able to do that here. And so I sent him an email, and I kid you not, 1 week later, opened up the envelope, and there was Jesse's New Zealand passport and this beautiful letter saying that he was a New Zealand citizen, which just, I burst into tears. And I thought, my job is done. My job is done.
That is her legacy.
No amount of money.
Her legacy.
No amount of money could buy this. Like this, literally, if he wanted to study, work, raise a family in New Zealand, he has that opportunity. If he wants to work in Britain for a couple of years on his big overseas experience, New Zealand passport holders can do that. Like this is like the ticket to a lot of amazing things in his life.
His future
And I
life
thought,
adventure.
Job is done. Thank you.
Good job, Mom. Good job, Mom.
I think Rod was jealous after that. He's like, oh, great. So how am I going to follow up with that?
Yeah. He's going to have to keep his up to date here.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let it expire.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I'm super grateful for having you as part of my life. And we talk as often as we possibly can through all your Zen time and your music and everything. But Tulum to you.
Yes.
We got to get a little touch on Tulum to you, and you can go follow her at Tulum to you on Instagram. But
yeah, I'm excited about that. It's
a year.
It's morphed into something far, far bigger than I had originally, thought. It was something that seriously, my husband had spent many, many years down in the Yucatan Peninsula. His father started one of the first dive shops in that region in the 70s. And so my husband had been down diving, doing cave diving, just absolutely loves that whole region. And so, of course, when we got together, he wanted to share his sanctuary with me. And I immediately fell in love with Tulum, being a place that just represented, it touched on all of the places that I had visited throughout my life. So where I came from, New Zealand, like that whole, just the greenery and the ocean, the jungle, the Zen. Tulum's a pretty unique place. It's a very unique place. You've got a little bit of, I feel like it's Bali meets Japan meets, the south of France. I mean, it really is quite a unique place. So I consequently had spent a lot of time over the years with my husband. And every time I came back, I would come home with these trinkets or these gorgeous little outfits or jewelry or any of those sorts of things. And I'd end up on stage performing. And more often than not, I would be asked, where can I buy that stuff? And so eventually I thought,